you that I had a lot going on today. There's an awful lot of news that'll be out around the 4 o'clock hour. And so I didn't want to mix in any of these very cool things that I've been asking Grok for. By the way, you can do this yourself. It might be something you want to do some of these on a regular basis, or you can just wait for me to do them, or you can suggest in the comments below some of the things you'd like me to look up in terms of getting Grok's analysis. Now, remember, part of the reason I'm doing this is that LLMs have already got a reputation that they're able to do predictions quite well. And theoretically, that would make sense from the standpoint that humans are going to be biased. Humans are going to have an incomplete amount of information from which to deal, and are probably going to not think of all the possible paths, if you will. So those are three things that LLMs do very well. They have all the information. Even though they may not access all the information, they have all the information. They have a lot more than you do or I do. Number two, they're biased. We know they're biased, but you can ask them not to be. So if you see any bias, you can either correct the specific bias that you notice. That's the beauty of the whole AI system, is that you need to be the one that knows how to do the prompts, but you also need to be the one who knows how to read the content afterwards and see obvious flaws and or questions that you have that might be flaws, and then do further prompts in order to get it all straight. Sometimes that even means putting it into a different LLM, or even asking the one that you're working with I only do Grok, asking Grok, say, would you double check everything that you just said and tell me if it's all true? Anyway, so that's the second thing. And then the third thing is being able to see all the paths. And I like to use, I loved to play in the creek when I was a kid. I don't know about you, but when you're out and you're walking in the woods and you get to a creek and you're going to cross the creek and you're looking, you're like, okay, there's some rocks that I might skip across. There's a little, tree limb that's fallen over. There is, a place where it doesn't look very deep. I could wade through. So you are looking for paths of the right way to get to the destination, which is the other side. And you might only see those three paths. Well, with an LLM that has more information and also can think through more combinations and possibilities, the LLM might say, oh, upstream, there's a place where there's a little ridge and the water goes down. I don't know. There's a bridge. There's a bridge just about 100 yards up. Anyway, so this is the third place where clearly the LLM has an advantage over you in terms of being able to predict. Okay, so with that in mind, you know me, I'm predicting all the time. I'm always trying to give you my numbers, trying to give you what I think is going to happen in terms of Tesla, developing the next thing or bringing it out, what day it's going to happen. Well, I think if I got Grok in my pocket and I can use all the techniques I just mentioned, I think we're going to get better results. So here's what I got for you today. Today we're going to start. Oh, by the way, this is not investment advice. Even though it's Grok, it doesn't become investment advice because it's a better source. And again, let me know in the comments below whether you think this is valuable, whether you think these things are reasonably to be expected, whether you think Grok is completely wrong, whether you think I'm completely wrong. Some of you don't mind saying those kinds of things at all. Or if you think, oh my goodness, this is kind of working. All right. Those other glasses are not the right ones for the computer. Key Tesla catalysts before January 2026. Based on recent developments, Grok says Tesla's stock has several high-impact events and announcements lined up in the next 2.5 months that could drive volatility exceeding 3% on any one of these moves. That's what I asked for. I said, could you look for things that could exceed 3% on a stock move? These are primarily tied to financial results, autonomy advancements, and production milestones. Historically, Tesla moves about 8 to 10% around earnings alone. Now, on that, I thought it was closer to 7, but I would not argue that it couldn't be 8 to 10 on average. Autonomy updates have sparked even larger swings. For instance, a 12% increase on FSD news in prior quarters. Grok says he'll focus, you notice I say he all the time, he'll focus on the most probable ones ranked by proximity and potential magnitude with the rationale for at least a 3, for greater than 3 impact. Q3 2025 earnings call. Details. Post-market release followed by a conference call. Consensus. expects EPS of 54 to 55 cents on 26.3 billion revenue, but deliveries hit a record the deliveries hit 497,000 vehicles. That got that wrong. And energy storage deployment, how do you get that right? 12.5 gigawatts. These are bright spots. Key watch points, auto gross margins expected under 16.7. It's probably going to be higher than that. FSD, I added that higher part. That was not what Grok said. FSD 14.1 rollout progress. At this point, it might be 14.2 by the time we get there. Robotaxi pilot expansions will be important in terms of the call, and Optimus production hints. Impact potential, high earnings beats, misses on deliveries or energy have driven 5 to 50, either beats or misses, have driven 5 to 15% moves. Autonomy timelines, for instance, unsupervised FSD pilots could add 5 to 10% upside if positive. Margin erosions, which I don't think is going to happen on this call, or delays might trigger downsides. And recent FSD 14.1.2 updates show improved handling of complex maneuvers. Likelihood of a greater than 3 move, near certain, given historic volatility. So mostly positive looking things going into the call. If Elon, this is Randy now, if Elon is in a good mood and positive and energetic, I think we could have a very solid move after the meeting. Now, one of the issues that Grok doesn't mention is that there's always this what do you call positioning prior to the event. And so if people think there's going to be a beat and they think there's going to be good news, there could be FOMO, like we saw on Friday, going into the call. If we're sitting at all-time highs or 500, I think we could be prepared, unless there's really good news, I think we could be prepared for a little sell on the news after that. But if we're sitting around where we are now for 40, 450, I think we definitely get a pop. No, that's me. And then Grok said greater than 3% move, almost near certain. Second, the 2025 annual shareholders meeting. Details. In-person event with live streaming, including votes on key proposals, including board elections and executive compensation. Elon, obviously, if that doesn't pass, that could be a problem. That's not what he said. That's what I'm saying. Elon Musk often uses these for major reveals, like Cybertruck updates or autonomy roadmaps, but not usually for product introductions. Expect discussions on 2026 goals, including robotaxi scaling and Optimus deployment. What Grok doesn't say is expect Optimus, a lot of Optimi at this particular event that's been told about in advance, and they will be dancing at least and maybe doing other things. Impact potential, medium to high. Past meetings have led to 4 to 8% inter-day swings on surprise announcements. Remember, that swing could be either way. With robotaxi eyeing expansion to 2 new U.S. states and app enhancements like live traffic alerts already rolling out, any geofence growth or regulatory nods could ignite buying. Likelihood of a greater than 3% move, strong, especially when paired with the Q4 guidance from a couple of weeks prior. Number 3, Q4 vehicle delivery report. So on January 2nd, we will get the Q4 delivery report. So that's within this, it's kind of 2 days more than just the end of the year, but Grok decided to go there. And it details quarterly production delivery numbers closing out 2025. Analyst forecast 450 to 500,000 units. I would say most of the analyst forecasts that I've seen so far would be 450 or less. Pushing full year totals to 1.8 million if we get to 500,000. I didn't know that. And that would be up compared to last year. Boosters include Model Y long range, which is now sold out till December at this point in China. And that's what Grok says, had that information as well. And pre-holiday rushes post U.S. EV tax credit expiration. Impact potential high. Q4 beats have historically spiked shares 6 to 12%. Energy storage growth potentially doubling compared to the prior year, and China momentum could easily offset any auto weakness. So we could be looking, I've talked about 16 gigawatt hours potentially, and it could be higher, but 16 gigawatts is what I'm kind of expecting, which is going to be a big beat. Likelihood of a greater than 3% move, very high, as it sets the 2026 narrative. And then robotaxi and FSD milestones updates. Building on Austin pilots, now unsupervised in geofenced areas with, of course, the rider, Tesla is testing expansions and integrating robotaxi source features like AI-optimized drop-offs into consumer FSD. App updates, battery alerts, signals, app updates, including battery alerts, signal scaling prep. Any Q4 pilot launches or regulatory approvals could drop via earnings or X announcements. If we heard anything at all from California, if we heard something from Texas in terms of going into 2026, if we heard anything from any other states like New York, et cetera, any one of those could obviously get a pop. I'm adding that detail. Impact potential, explosive upside, 10%. Autonomy is Tesla's highest multiple growth driver. Even vague progress has moved shares 5 to 7% recently. Likelihood of a greater than 3% move, moderate high, contingent on news flow, but amplified by earnings. Optimus production milestones. Details. Tesla scaled back their original estimates to 2,000 units by year-end from 5,000 target due to hand-arm design tweaks, but version 3 design is finalized with parts orders placed. We'll see whether the version 3 is what we get to see on November 6th. That would be, I think, a big deal. Internal factory, that's me, that's Randy, not Grok. Internal factory deployments could start late 2025 with external sales eyed for 2026. Earnings call likely to provide some clarity. Impact potential, medium, positive surprise. Like demo videos or pilot success could add 4 to 6% as Optimus is pitched as a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity rivaling EVs. Yes. Likelihood of a 3% move, moderate, but rising if tied to earnings. Risks and broader context. These catalysts assume no major macro shocks like rate hikes or trade tensions. Downside risks include persistent margin compression, so maybe we get the numbers up in December, but we have margin compression, or FSD delays, but energy up 100% year over year and autonomy hype provide buffers. Tesla's year-to-date performance up 90% as of late September compared to a year ago shows narrative-driven momentum, but volatility remains elevated. For real-time tracking, monitor Elon Musk's X activity, or my X activity, and or watch these videos at Tesla's investor relations site. And then Grok mentions, this is not investment advice. Do your own research, says Grok. Now then, let's talk in a little more detail about unsupervised FSD rollout to existing owners. As you know, Randy thinks this is the biggest catalyst, which doesn't even get mentioned above. But going and offering unsupervised to everybody, I think, will kick the stock up quite nicely. Tesla's push towards unsupervised full self-driving, where the vehicle operates without constant human oversight or interventions, remains a cornerstone of their autonomy narrative. Based on the latest updates as of October 18th, 2025, here's the current status. Supervised versus unsupervised. The ongoing wide rollout of FSD 14, which Elon Musk said today 14.2 will be the wide rollout, is accelerating. Early access owners after initial testing are all very enthusiastic. This version shows significant improvements in edge cases like unprotected turns and highway merging, building the data foundation for unsupervised. Internally, Tesla's already running unsupervised FSD at scale across factories, Fremont, Giga Texas, and Giga Berlin, of course, going from the factory to the parking lot, and even for tasks like unsupervised highway deliveries to customers, which you saw. No immediate broad release. Unsupervised isn't live for consumers yet. It's still in validation phases. These geofence tests, now unsupervised in limited areas, are the proving ground with expansions to highways and new states teased. Timeline for existing owners. Expected launch. Elon Musk and Tesla have reiterated end of 2025 for initial unsupervised FSD to personal fleets, you and me, in select U.S. cities, probably Austin, potentially expanding to Texas and California. Some sources point to late Q4 December as a realistic target, aligning with Q4 earnings guidance. However, regulatory hurdles, liability transfer to Tesla could push full unsupervised to early 2026 in broader areas per recent earnings commentary. Phased approach. It won't be a big bang. Expect a gradual rollout starting with HW4 equipped vehicles. and limited to validated geofenced and possibly Model Y only initially, as it outperforms others on FSD. Hardware 3 owners are probably going to face delays. Tesla insurance states places where Tesla already has insurance could get priority for liability coverage. Lemonade seems to be getting into the mix. Bradford's favorite insurance company, apparently either talking to Tesla or planning talks with Tesla about being part of the insurance capability. Impact for owners and stock catalysts. For owners, this would unlock massive value, summoning your car unattended, robotaxi integration for passive income, and reduced nags disengagements. Adoption could surge as 50% of FSD owners haven't even tried supervised yet. Prompts during manual drives are tested ways to boost engagement. Transferability and per-mile insurance are also in discussion to ease barriers. Stock volatility. As I noted before, Grok noted before, any unsupervised milestone, seat expansion announcements, etc., could easily drive 5 to 10% moves, especially if teased in the October 22nd earnings call. It's the holy grail for re-rating Tesla's multiple towards robotaxi economics. Watch Elon's X for drops, etc., or just tune in 3 times a day, or 4 times if it's Saturday. What is today? The 18th or something? If regulatory green lights align, this could be the Q4 fireworks. Keep an eye on version 14.2 and 14.3 updates for unsupervised hints. Do your own research, as timelines have slipped before. And therefore, what is your take? What do you think is going to happen? Also, did you like what I did here? Because I like what I did here. I really do. I think this is a ton of fun. And I've got another one for Sunday night that's talking about the markets as a whole, which are stretched now. We can all agree they're stretched. The question is, are they stretched too far? And are we coming up against, even if the economy stays solid, will we get a 10% or even a 20% pullback when they're just completely wacko? And we'll look at all kinds of possible ways that could be impacted by earnings, impacted by news, impacted by what's happening with the dollar, gold. Anyway, I've asked Grok a bunch of questions, and Grok has given me, I think, a very solid response that I really believe you should watch tomorrow night, probably around 7:45, 8 o'clock, something like that. Otherwise, normal stuff tomorrow, hopefully Cern Basher in the morning. You've got Phil Beisel later tonight around 7:45 on Saturday. And you've got the regular news show at 4 o'clock later today. And that regular news show is going to be bonkers. It is so filled with news. There's so much going on for a Saturday. And then last night, if you haven't watched it yet, if you've got some time, Brian Wong and Larry Gold, I'm sorry, I already gave you that one earlier this morning. Let's go back to the show this morning. If you didn't watch the show this morning, you should. You should go back now and watch that show. What we did this morning is we looked at, what did we do? It's just so hard to remember. Look at the card up there. It'll give you a headline, and it will encourage you that I know it was a great show. It was another show like this where I asked Grok some questions, and Grok had absolutely amazing ways to think about the subject that I presented. It's been great talking to you.